I'm a little late recording this, but that's okay because June was a pretty good month. So let's dive right into my wrap up. June on the Range was the major theme of the month. Did I follow that? No, I failed at a lot of my June on the Range reads, but I did find one of my favorite Westerns of all time. We're going to go in chronological order as I normally do. Let's get right into what I read. The first thing I read was Up the Walls of the World by James Tiptree Jr. Now, the author's real name is Alice Bradley Sheldon, and she wrote some very strange science fiction. This is no exception. This story is about aliens with like a telepathic thing that goes on, and they might be made of gas or something. Or they're just like, if you look at the cover image, they're like manta rays or something that fly and share thoughts, and it's very strange. The alien part is so alien that it's almost hard to read, and then the human part is very good, except for a few things. There is a female character who has, I don't know how to phrase this in a way that's not incredibly disturbing, has had parts of herself mutilated by an abusive parent, and it is her core personality, which is not good writing at all. And then, speaking of the female characters in this, James Tiptree Jr., who was a woman, writes the perviest male gaze that I've read in a long time. Like, she would make Harry Dresden blush in some of the ways she phrased things, which is really strange to say that this woman was writing in a male gaze. The book is strange. It is about the telepathic aliens trying to steal the bodies of these humans that have some telepathic abilities because they're trying to get away from the Great Devourer, which is, I don't know, an entity of raw energy that has become sapient and just wants to destroy. It's really weird. If you're going to read James Tiptree Jr., you should read her short fiction because it is outstanding. And if you want to read a novel, you should read Brightness Falls from the Air. The way I describe Brightness Falls from the Air is a mix between Margaret Atwood's socially conscious science fiction and 1950s pulpish atomic era science fiction. It's like blended together in a really interesting way. Go read that, or read her short fiction, and don't read this. I gave it like a 3.5 because of the very interesting concepts, but the more I think about it, the less I like the book. I started the month off in such an amazing way. I had to do something different. It was June on the Range, so I read Smoky Valley by Donald Hamilton. Now, Donald Hamilton is known for his Matt Helm series, which is like the early assassin spy thriller series. It kind of set the tone for all the ones that take place after it. And the first book, Death of a Citizen, is very good. I love that book. You can just read that by itself and be done and have a great time. The second book that I can't remember the name of was just Matt Helm crying about women doing things women shouldn't do, and crying about being in Europe and crying about Europeans or something. It wasn't very good. I will read more of them, but what does that have to do with this? Before he wrote the Matt Helm series, he wrote a Western, and he wrote quite a few Westerns, and Smoky Valley is pretty darn good. I'm not saying it's one of the better Westerns I've read, but it is a very good Western. It is about a dude who does everything he can to kind of hold in his temper. He's like a smaller dude, which already goes against the grain of the Westerns because it seems like every Western hero is like 6'3" and 215 pounds. And, don't know how he got that big when everyone was malnourished, but sure. But this guy's small and he doesn't have a temper. Everyone thinks he's kind of soft, but he was a war veteran and he was an officer for the Union in the Civil War, and he was a good one. And this ends up being one of those things where you push a normal guy far enough that he reacts and he fights back. It's very good. I don't want to give any more away because of the books I read this month. It's one of the ones I would recommend to just about anyone that wanted to try a Western. You can find paperbacks of it in lots of places. I was kind of surprised how often I found it during my hunting for books across the Midwest during my road trip. I think I saw it twice, which is pretty good. So I've been reading a lot of military science fiction and space operas lately, and I kind of wanted to go back and read some of the hidden gems, or see if there are any hidden gems. And one of the ways I did that was looking at the books that influenced the tabletop RPG Traveler. I talked about it last month. One of the major influences was the Doomarest of Terra series by E.C. Tubbs. So I thought, I'll give them a try. Well, I ended up reading The Winds of Gath, which is the first one, and it was good, especially for what it is. I think that the main character is very just pulp action hero, which is kind of what is to be expected in this book. The main character's name is Earl Dumarest, and as a kid, he escaped from Earth because Earth is an overpopulated, really crappy place where everyone is in poverty, and anyone of any ability or desire to better themselves have left the planet. So it's just a backwater thing now that there's interstellar travel. And Earl escapes as a kid as a stowaway, and then instead of getting ejected into space when they catch him, they're like, hey, we're gonna teach you how to travel in space as whatever the equivalent of a sailor is for these spaceships. And he skips around so much that eventually he's lost track of how to get back to Earth. And they have like cryogenic sleep that is way too likely to kill you because that's the steerage way of traveling, where you're stored in a vat that would usually be used for farm animals or something, and so it might kill you, but it's real cheap to travel. And then there's like the midway where you age while traveling, and then there's like the high end thing where you're given a drug that makes time go by really fast. So what feels like 8 hours to you is like 8 weeks or something. All these drugs and this interesting tech was a major influence on Traveler, and it's really cool to see in these books. But the books are like really pulpy. I would not recommend it to most people. And the Winds of Gath is like him getting stuck on this planet, and he's kind of screwed. He's trying to get back to Earth, but most people don't even believe him when he says he's from Earth. They're like, what? Are you stupid? Earth's not real. That's a myth. What do you mean Earth? You're on Earth. It's called dirt. It'd be like calling your planet planet. I'm not going to get into the plot of Winds of Gath because it's so forgetful that I barely remember it. I just know I had fun while I was reading it, but it's just one of those kind of throwaway things. And the same goes with Durai, which is the second book. I barely remember it. I read it less than a month ago. I don't remember it at all. I think he's helping some queenly woman. Wow, that's not a good sign. Maybe don't read these at all. I might end up reading the next one. I think it's called like The Toy Man or something. It's already on my phone as an audiobook, so maybe I'll give it a go. I'm not sure. Let's move on to what really matters, and that's Conager by Louis L'Amour, another Western I read for June on the Range. It's one of the greatest Western novels I've ever read. It is so fun. It is so wonderfully written. It is beautiful. It is everything Louis L'Amour does best, just moved up another notch on like the quality level. You have Conager, who is this badass cowboy. He's done everything. He's worked on the railroads. He's rustled cattle. He's built ships or whatever he's done. He's done it all. He's been all around the Western United States. This takes place in the Southwest, and the story starts with Evie Teal being left with her stepkids while her husband goes off to buy cattle because he's finally gotten enough money. They have a home. Yes, it's pretty much in Indian territory in the Southwest, which is not good, but they've got a place of their own, and that's all that matters to him. And within a day of him leaving to go get the cattle, he dies. This is literally in the description on the back of the book, so I'm not spoiling much. Also, very short book. Please go get this book and read it. You will not regret it. But it's two POVs. So you've got Conager, just this awesome man's man cowboy, and Evie Teal, this early 20s woman who's left with these two stepkids, and her husband dies and she doesn't know it. And so she's trying to get by with just what little he left behind. And you see her story as she establishes this waypoint out here for these wagons that come through. And it's really cool because you don't have the normal damsel in distress and stuff. You actually have two very competent people, and it is a story of them eventually coming together. And it's very beautifully written. It's a short book. It's awesome. If it weren't for something else I read this month, it would be my book of the month. It was such a joy to read. I cannot recommend it enough. Go get a copy of Conager by Louis L'Amour and just let me know what you think of it. It's great. I've been spinning my wheels, like I said, when it comes to reading before bed. I've been reading a lot of The Trap of Solid Gold, which is a John D. McDonald blog. So that's where a lot of my time has been going. And then, oh, look, I spent some other time reading Travis McGee and Me, Reflections on the Man from Slip F-18 by D.R. Martin. This is D.R. Martin's reviews-ish of each book in the Travis McGee series. He summarizes the plot and then writes his thoughts on the book and stuff like that. It's a really cool refresher for anyone that has read the series and wants to kind of skim through something that reminds them of everything that went on, or like if you're obsessed to a really weird level with the Travis McGee series and John D. McDonald's writing, then you just want to read the book even though you're already rereading the series. I've finished 7 of them now on my reread. It's a very good book for exactly me and essentially no one else. So Travis McGee and Me, Reflections on the Man from Slip F-18. That just rolls off the tongue in a very interesting way. That's funny. It's good. Hey, look, A Deadly Shade of Gold. This is the 3rd time I have read it. It is very good. The pacing in it is not good. It's the first McGee book that I have read for the third time that I've thought I might not read this the fourth time I go through the series. I'm going to, but it's the first time I've thought about not doing it. I think that this book is too long, and it was advertised as like a double McGee because it's probably, I don't know, not quite twice as big as the average McGee novel, but it's getting up there. And the problem with it is it's really just two McGee stories kind of sandwiched together. Like there is a plot that runs through the whole thing, like the beginning and the end, but everything in the middle is kind of, I don't know. It's structured a little weird, which once you understand how John D. MacDonald writes, it kind of makes sense because his whole thing was he would come up with the beginning and come up with the end, and the middle is just kind of getting to the end in an entertaining way that works. So I think it does suffer because of that. I think what ended up happening was he was like, oh, this is going to be a real big one, so I got to get a little more going on in here. The book is still very good. It's still in the top half of the, I say it's very good and it's in the top half of the McGee books, but then I said I don't want to reread it. I don't know. It's one of the strange ones. You know, it's not strange. Frontlines, book 2. Lines of Departure by Marco Close. Amazing military science fiction. I had a great time with it. It is the sequel to Terms of Enlistment, and the best thing about this book wasn't the military or the science fiction. It was how good he was at telling a story about the society that built this whole military science fiction structure, the abject poverty required to convince people to leave the planet and move to a snowball or a pile of dirt that is barely hospitable, but still somehow significantly better than Earth. He has these little quiet moments I talked about in my mid-year freakout where you see the world and it's so cool. It's so good. And each character is very interesting. I really love Andrew Grayson as a character, and I can't wait to read more of the series. And yeah, I went right into Lucky 13, which is a short story, but it's on my list, so we're going to talk about it. And that is book 2.1 in the Frontline series. It follows Andrew Grayson's girlfriend, who is a pilot, and about her first ship, Lucky 13, because she flew like dropship type things, or I don't know. I guess the closest thing to them in modern aviation is like an Osprey, except imagine a science fiction Osprey where it's got badass jets instead of rotors, and it's way more maneuverable and has a bigger payload and stuff like that. It's a good story. It's incredibly short, and I really enjoyed it. After that, I dipped back into the Travis McGee well. When I'm not having a good week, I just go back to Travis McGee. If my brain isn't letting me pay attention to something new, you got to dip back into the well, the cozy well that allows you to feel a little peace with the world. So, you know, I went into one of the most disturbing McGee novels in the series. This is easily a top 3. Bright Orange for the Shroud is so messed up. The antagonist in it is menacing. He gets described in the book at one point as what Travis McGee would be if he had gone bad, and that is exactly what that character is. It like makes McGee mad when that person says that because he realizes just how accurate that is. The guy is an apex predator, and McGee has to go up against him. It's so good. It's such a great book in the series. If you're not reading these in order and you're like, I read The Deep Blue Goodbye and it was pretty good, or I read The Green Ripper and I don't understand what's happening, please don't start with The Green Ripper. You can read Bright Orange for the Shroud if you want to start with that. It's very good. So as you can see through this, I kind of like stumbled around all month, and I wanted to end with something new and interesting. And so I read Florida Straits by Lawrence Shames. This is the Key West Mysteries or something book 1. There's a lot of them. It's awesome. It's so good. It came out in like 1992 or 93, and it is about the bastard son of a mafioso in New York City deciding that he's going to Florida. He's gonna go to Key West and start running a racket down there, kind of show him how it's done, because he's from New York. So obviously he knows more about organized crime and getting things done than any of those people in Key West do. So this is a fish out of water story where as soon as he gets there, things are already going wrong. It's him and his girlfriend, and he just meets this awesome cast of characters, and it is such a fun story. And at one point, he starts getting heat because like $2 million worth of jewels have been stolen, and someone's going to get blamed for it, and it looks like it might be him. And then his sketchy half-brother shows up. He's like the heir apparent to their mafioso dad. And so you get this really funny mob stuff where it doesn't work in Key West, and they have their own thing going in the area, and it's really funny. There's great humor in it. wonderful characters. I had a great time with like the mystery. It's not really a mystery. It's like and it's not quite a caper. Well, it is and it isn't. It's just really good. And it just transcends a bunch of these little crime genres. And there's a Chihuahua in it named Don Giovanni, and it's just, he's something else. It's really funny because his owner's like, I hate this dog so much, but I mean, babies him. It's like, oh, well, I got to keep him in the shade and I have to hold him when we go places because he gets nervous. And now he's got to wear sunglasses because his pupils don't dilate and we got to be careful with his eyes. And I'm just like, well, I thought you hated the dog, dude. It's really funny. It's a great book. I plan on reading more of the series. I highly recommend it. It's my book of the month. It was just such a great time. So anyone out there that's wanting to dip their toe into some more recent crime fiction, I guess 1992 counts considering I mostly talk about stuff from the 60s. It's real good. I found it on a whim. I was looking at like Travis McGee and Me on Amazon because that's the only place you can get the ebook, and it was just recommended on there at one point, and then it was recommended on the Trap of Solid Gold John D. McDonald blog. So I thought, well, I've seen it enough places now that maybe I should give it a try, and I'm so glad I did. It's such a fun book. And that's all I read this month. It was a bunch of short stuff. I kind of floundered. I tried to start a couple of other Westerns and it did not go well. They were bad or just I couldn't get into them. And July is Rocket Summer. And so I have a lot of interesting stuff lined up. Rocket Summer is science fiction. For week 1, it's before the 1940s. Week 2 is 1940s. 3 is 1950s, 4 is 1960s. One of the loose rules is don't read new wave stuff. We're trying to lean into the rocketry side of it, I guess, like the pulp oriented science fiction and not the more new wave where it's less rockets and laser guns and more I was given a drug to give me intelligence and holy crap, life gets really crappy when I get really smart. So we're not going for that. We're going for, I guess, Doomarest, but man, don't read Doomarest for this. Well, I've been reading a lot of military science fiction and space operas lately, so I had to up the challenge a little more. I am reading exclusively Rocket Summer stuff written by women. And it was a bit of a challenge to find the stuff that qualified and to not repeat the same author again and again, but it has been very rewarding so far. I've been reading some C.L. Moore short fiction. Northwest Smith is a very interesting character. And now I'm reading one of her longer short stories about a woman who's been turned into a robot because she was burned in a fire. And it's really creepy. It's really good though. I'm just kind of making the whole month revolve around women writers just as a fun way to kind of break things up. And I realized how big of a sausage fest the last 6 months of my reading has been. So it's good to diversify, not just genres, but diversify among the authors that you're reading. It really just helps you grow as a reader. And you can grow as a reader in a fun way by just reading really cool stuff written from perspectives you don't normally read. So when I do my wrap up for July, you're going to see a lot of science fiction and maybe a few surprises in there. I found out Lois McMaster Bujold had a new Penrick and Desdemona novel out that came out in April. And I said, what the heck? I didn't know about this. So that's going to be on the TBR. I will be reading some more Travis McGee because I have to. It's so good. Why wouldn't I? I'm going to make a video soon about a book I got as a gift. It's pretty cool. So look out for that video. And I'm thinking about doing themed book recommendations because one of my favorite things that I watch from Steve Donahue are his Hedgehog book recommendations where there's like a loose theme and he just kind of throws a bunch of books at you and is like, this is why this is good. This is why this is good. I thought about doing that and I want to limit it to books I have physically, which could be interesting and kind of another way to show off the collection without buying more because we don't need more books. I got a pile over here already. I went and bought a couch after an estate sale closed and they were desperate to sell it and it's beautiful. And while I was there, the lady was like, hey, you want some books for free? So of course I grabbed some. We'll talk about those in a book haul. But yeah, I'd like to talk more about books in an interesting way that motivates me to film more videos because I like talking about books with people and I like making recommendations and I think that's a good way to do it. I think that's it. Let me know what you read in June. Did you participate in June on the Range? And let me know if you've read any of these. Thanks for watching. And with that, I'll see you next time.